What is up guys, it is Michael and welcome back to the AFK Arena video. Today we'll be discussing on who to build within the Celestial faction inside of AFK Arena. Before we get into today's video, I need to say a huge thank you to all my supporters as we have reached over 290 subscribers on the channel as of recording, which is insane. I'm so thankful for all of you. This channel is not possible without you all. Thank you so much to everyone who has subscribed to the channel. You all make this possible. If you want to further support the channel, please join the Discord, which is linked down in the description. I want to help as many people as possible, along with the moderators as well. We love to answer all your questions you have about AFK Arena. So if you have any, join the Discord, which is down linked in the description. Without further ado, let's get on to the guide. Now, when we think of the Celestials inside of AFK Arena, we do think of the main heroes like Talene, the twins, or even Alna. When we dive into the faction a little bit more deeper, we do focus on heroes like Wukong or even Orthros. To start things off, we are going to discuss Titus. Titus is a unique tank inside of AFK Arena, short side of the Celestial Tower, used in a single formation within there. He is not used anywhere inside of AFK Arena. Now, his character looks absolutely amazing when it comes to AFK Arena, looking like a statue along with the birds that come out with his animation, which is a great addition when it comes to Titus, as you can see right here with the animation. Would I build Titus in AFK Arena? And honestly, no. He is probably the worst Celestial when it comes to the faction, so I highly recommend you just pass on Titus. Moving over to Wukong, as you can see within the skin right here, an absolutely stunning skin, but unfortunately it is a great skin for a hero that is not used. Now, short side of the early game, Wukong is used a lot, but when it comes to his popularity hero data, as you can see, his E30 and E60 are popular, but I don't recommend you waste your resources when it comes to engraving Wukong. Now, his signature item does ring true, but also his furniture at the bottom of the list, but I wouldn't waste my resources on Wukong, especially if you are in the early game. I know a lot of people within there think Wukong is one of the best characters inside of AFK Arena, but honestly, there are better heroes down the line that you can build and invest your resources into, so for now, I would pass on Wukong. Moving over to Orthros, an absolute beast tank when it comes to Celestials. But when it comes to his utility inside of AFK Arena, he is used within the Celestial Tower, along with some PvP aspects, but his signature item does reign true, being at the plus 30 does help him a ton, especially with Orthros being a tank. His 9/9 does help him a lot with survivability and also attack. When it comes to defending the whole team, his 9/9 does well, but would I build Orthros inside of AFK Arena? If you need a big tank inside of the game, when it comes to the PvP side, the Celestial Tower, then Orthros is for you, but other than that, I would pass on building him for now. Moving over to Tarnos. Now, I think Tarnos is an underrated hero inside of this faction. When it comes to his utility, he is used a lot in all aspects of the PvP side when it comes to AFK Arena, and his signature item does reign true. But if we take a look at his formations, as you can see the PvP side, you do see these heroes being very well heavy. For example, you look at the first formation here, Alna has to be at the 309, along with Tarnos have to be at the 309 E30 to E60. Same with Solis having to be the 309 E60, especially unlocking all her abilities and skills. Along with Neve as well having to be the E60. And of course, Awakened Baden having to be the 309 E60 fully built for this formation to really reign true. If we take that into account, if you have those heroes built to a high investment, then obviously Tarnos will reign true, but Tarnos has to have a high investment as well. So keep that in mind if you are building Tarnos, but would I recommend building Tarnos in AFK Arena? 100%, especially if you're pushing the PvP side. Now, when we think of the Celestials, we honestly think of the warrior debuffer herself, Alna. Now, Alna is a tremendous hero when it comes to Celestial faction, and honestly is a staple inside of AFK Arena. When it comes to her popularity hero data, she is used a ton within the Celestial Tower, reigning true in the top 3, the campaign usage along with the PvP side being in the top 3 in those as well. Alna is a great campaign hero, so if you're focusing on the campaign, I highly recommend you build Alna, especially to the 309. Her furniture is very important, especially when keeping the whole team alive. Great utility within the Legends Championship, along with the King's Tower being in the top 10. Great formations inside the PvE aspect of AFK Arena. and her E30 reigning true. And honestly, her E30 is an underrated aspect when it comes to Alna. I know a lot of people say to not E30 her, but if you want the more stats, you want the more defense when it comes to the formation, keeping everyone alive, having more stats on Alna does reign true. Now her E60 is within the top 12, but I don't recommend you take Alna to the E60 as she does not need it. Strong use within the Arena of Heroes, along with her 99 reigning true within the top 25. Now would I build Alna in AFK Arena? And I think that answer is obvious. 100% you want to build Alna within the Celestial faction, especially when it comes to utility, and if you want to push campaign inside of AFK Arena, Alna would have to be a must build within here. Moving over to Flora, just like Alna, when you think of the Celestial faction, you think of Flora, the absolute OG when it comes to in here, being a mage and also continuous damage dealer. Utility when it comes to AFK Arena has fallen off a little bit, but she has a very strong use within the Celestial Tower, along with her E30 reigning true with being the top 20. Now her E30 does help her a lot, especially when you put her inside of formations, her E30 will reign true. But I would pass on her E60, as you can see her E60 is within the top 50. The E60 for Flora is not needed. But I do recommend getting her signature item to the plus 30. Now would I build Flora in AFK Arena? And the answer is clear. 100% I would build Flora. Now for the people that have built Awaken Athalia, I actually want to point this out to you. She is used within this formation right here, which is absolutely dominating the Celestial Tower. So if you have these heroes at the top here, you have the twins Flora, Alna, paired with the Awakened versions of Talene and Athalia. This formation right here is dominating the Celestial Tower. And if you're struggling within there, this team right here is reigning true. Another OG when it comes to the Celestial Tower, and that would have to be the twins. Absolute beast support unit when it comes to the role of being a buffer. The twins are still utilized today. And when it comes to their utilization when it comes to AFK Arena, using a lot of boss formations, whether it's the Grotesque Mage, Kane, Burning Brute, June Destroyer, or being within the top 3 within there, which is absolutely huge. A very strong use within the Celestial Tower as well, reigning within the top 5, along with the Demonic Namora and Ice Chimera bosses, both being within the top 5. If you're struggling with survivability with the twins, I actually recommend you E60 them. The further you get into AFK Arena, and it depends how high you have the twins built, if they are not surviving within the formation, that means you have to build the twins higher so you get the most utilization out of them. Her signature item is definitely important, being at the plus 30, and that is obviously reigning true within the top 20. And her 99 is very crucial, especially when it comes to her survivability. Now would I build the twins in AFK Arena? And that is another obvious answer being yes. The twins are probably the best support buffers inside of AFK Arena, and this is proven true by their consistency inside of the game, being out for such a long time and still having a strong impact within inside of AFK Arena just shows how strong the twins are. Moving over to the Chad himself, the big tank, Veithael. Now Veithael is an absolute monster when it comes to AFK Arena. Looking inside his utility within the game, his E30 and E60 would have to be the minimum. Now his E30 I would skip and I'll go straight to the E60, as his E60 is an absolute game changer when it comes to Veithael. Moving down to his usage within the Celestial Tower, in the top 5, which is absolutely huge, especially when it comes down to a tank, as well as strong use within the Legends Championship and Tournament, paired with his 99 furniture, which is absolutely crucial, especially when it comes down to a tank, followed by the Arena of Heroes use, obviously being within the top 20, a solid tank if you need one for the Arena of Heroes, and his plus 30 minimum when it comes to Veithael is an absolute game changer as well, and has a very strong use within the campaign formations. Now the only issue with Veithael is his investment. He would have to be at a minimum 309 E60 to really shine, but in my opinion, Veithael is an absolute must build when it comes to AFK Arena, especially being a tank within here. His utilization is very strong and reigns true when it comes to the PvP side of the game especially, and I highly recommend you build him inside of AFK Arena. Now Morael has fallen off when it comes to AFK Arena, unfortunately. Used to be an absolute monster when it came to the PV side as well, being a mage and continuous damage dealer, and when it comes to her utility inside of the game, only used within 2 game modes specifically. that being the Celestial Tower and Demonic Namora. Her plus 30 is really all you need when it comes down to her being inside the top 50. Now swiftly moving to the other formations she's used in. Now these are replacement comps when it comes to Kayn, Demonic Namora, Burning Brute, Dune Destroyer, obviously the Celestial Tower. She's used in some PvP aspects as well. As of right now, not really used as much. Now would I build her in AFK Arena? And the answer to that is no. It is obvious her utility has fallen off when it comes to AFK Arena. She used to be an absolute beast, but for her to really shine, she really needs the 309 E60. And that is a downside for Morael, especially if she isn't used anywhere. She isn't worth the resources, so I would pass on Morael for now. Moving over to Athalia, an absolute legend when it comes to the Celestial faction. Being a ranger and assassin in here is absolutely game changing. You can honestly say she's the Celestial Lucretia. But when it comes to utility inside of the game, she has a very strong use within the Celestial Tower. Along with being within the PvP, she will always reign true within there. Now her E30 investment is reigning true within the top 25, but I would actually pass and go straight to her E60 as it is way better than her E30. Now some obvious use within the Arena of Heroes. I know a lot of people will like to have Athalia within there, along with her plus 30 with being the signature item, rating within the top 40 when it comes to the data. But would I build Athalia in AFK Arena? And that's an interesting question. This really comes down to two factors. Are you building Awaken Athalia or are you building the original Athalia? Now if you're building the Awakened version of Athalia, then don't build the original version. The Awoken version is absolutely incredible, and you wouldn't need original Athalia anyway. But if you aren't building Awaken Athalia, then obviously focus on her original version. Moving over to Audrae. Now she is an absolute beast when it comes to AFK Arena. Honestly an underrated hero, used a lot within the PvP aspect of the game, especially in some cheesy formations where she absolutely pops off with her damage. Now being a ranger and also continuous damage dealer reigns true with her kit, and honestly is overshadowed by a lot of heroes, meaning that a lot of players within AFK Arena don't even have her built. But when it comes to her utility, it is not really used anywhere short side of the PvP and strong use within the tower. But like I said, not many people have Audrae built at all, so her hero data wouldn't really show up within the game. When it comes to the PvP side of the game, she is used tremendously, especially with Leica Zolrath paired with Zaphrael and Veithael. Short side of the PvP and one formation within the Celestial Tower, obviously she can be paired within other formations than this one, but she isn't utilized anywhere else, meaning Audrae is an easy pass when it comes to Celestial Tower. Now this is a shame as she is an underrated hero within here, but her utility says otherwise. Moving over to another must build hero when it comes to AFK Arena, not even in the Celestial Tower, I mean inside the whole entire game, Haelus is 100% a must build. Now he is a support buffer, so another support buffer when it comes to the Celestials, but when you really focus on Haelus, you see his utility inside of AFK Arena, and you say wow, as he is used a ton within the Celestial Tower, bosses when it comes to the Dune Destroyer, the Crotest Mage, along with his engravings. Now his E60 engraving is an absolute game changer for Haelus, and I highly recommend if you want to E60 a hero in AFK Arena, or you are struggling to find a hero you want to engrave first, then Haelus is an absolute must when it comes to his engravings. He has an incredible use inside the PvP area of the game, paired with his signature item having to be at a plus 30, well as use in the Legends Challenger tournament, paired with the Arena of Heroes, and a tremendous use within the campaign formations as well, topped with his 9 and 9 furniture, which is absolutely essential when it comes to support buffer in AFK Arena. If you haven't already, please build Haelus in AFK Arena, you won't regret it. He is used in majority of the game modes, and you will go very far having him built. Moving over to the Resurging Flame herself, Awaken Talene. Now, Talene is a tank and buffer inside of AFK Arena. Moving over to her utility, used a lot within the Celestial Tower. Now if you need a great hero within there, Awaken Talene is for you. When it comes to her engravings, now E30 is reigning true within the top 5, but I highly recommend you just go to the E60, especially for the Awakened heroes. She is using a lot of bosses when it comes to Kayn and Ashmira, and obviously Kayn being one of the hardest bosses inside the game. both used within the top 10. Now her 99 furniture is critical, especially when unlocking all her skills and abilities. You want to do that for the awakened heroes so they can be used at their maximum potential. Followed by her signature item, the plus 30 will have to be the minimum, and she has a strong use inside the Arena of Heroes. Now would I build Awakened Talene in AFK Arena? And that honestly relies on which Awakened Heroes you have built. Now if you haven't already, check out the Awakened tier list that we have on the channel, which will be down in the description. If you have the main Awakened Heroes built, then 100% I would recommend you build Talene. Moving over to the absolute beast herself, Awakened Athalia. Now being a warrior and burst damage dealer inside of the game is absolutely game changing, especially when it comes to Awakened Athalia. Now moving over to her utility when it comes to the game, as you can see a lot of number 1 spots already. She is used highly within the Celestial Tower, paired with the Ice Chimera and Dune Destroyer, all being within the number 1, and an obvious use within the PvP area. Awakened Athalia is an absolute beast when it comes to that side of the game, along with being within the top 10 within the Burning Brute already, and some strong uses within the Legends Challenger tournament, her investment having to be the plus 30, along with her E60, followed by her 99 furniture to really bring out her full potential. Now would I build Awakened Athalia in AFK Arena? And that answer relies on the Awakened Heroes you have built yet again. Like mentioned with Awakened Talene, we do have the Awakened tier list linked down in the description, so I highly recommend you check out that video to see which Awakened Heroes reign true when it comes to the tier list. Now obviously if you have those heroes built within that video, then build Awakened Athalia, as she will be a beast inside of the game, especially when all the rotations of the Cursed Realm, the Treasure Scramble and the Nightmare Corridor come around. She will be utilized everywhere. Moving over to Zaphrael, an absolute beast when it comes to the game, being a mage and continuous damage dealer, an obvious use within the PvP area. But when it comes to his utility further of the PvP side, where he's really known for, he is used a lot within the Celestial Tower, along with great usage within the campaign, along with great usage obviously within the PvP areas, paired with the campaign, which is absolutely surprising when it comes to Zaphrael, but he does need his 30 signature item to really do well. Now when it comes to his build, I honestly would take him to the 309 minimum. Now his engraving does help him a lot, especially if you're focusing on increasing his skill ability when it comes to the Lightning Arc, which is one of his best skills. But other than that, would I build Zaphrael in AFK Arena? And that question really relies on, are you heavily invested in the PvP area of the game? Now if you are, Zaphrael is a great option for you, but as well as being great in the PvP, he does do very well within the Celestial Tower. So for both of those reasons, I would actually build Zaphrael. Especially when you get to the 3 stages inside of the Celestial Tower, Zaphrael will help you amazingly when it comes to the Celestial Tower formations. Now moving over to the OG Rising Phoenix herself, Talene. Being a support and continuous damage dealer inside here is absolutely incredible. Now her being an OG hero inside of AFK Arena, she is still used today. When it comes to her utility, she is used a lot within the boss formations and as well as the Celestial Tower. Strong use within one of the hardest bosses inside the game, Kain, being in the top 10 as well as the tower, along with her plus 30 reigning true. Getting Talene to the plus 30 is an absolute game changer, along with her E60 as well, if you want to have the most utility out of her, so she can be used freely within the Cursed Realm and other formations inside the game. But would I build Talene in AFK Arena? Now that is an interesting question yet again. Would I say she's better than her Awakened version? Now that is a close one in my opinion. Personally, I think her Awakened version is strong, but when it comes to the original Talene's utility and how consistent she's been over the years, I would give the original Talene an edge over her Awakened version. So for that reason only, I would build original Talene. That will do it for who to build within the Celestial faction. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more factions being discussed, the playlist to this series will be linked down in the description. If you wanted any help with AFK Arena and needed to ask a specific question, feel free to join the Discord, which is also linked down in the description. Thank you all for over 290 subscribers on the channel. I'm honestly blown away by the support we have been receiving. We are approaching 300 subscribers on the channel and I can't believe it. Honestly speechless by the amount of people who are willing to give this channel a chance. I'll be forever grateful for you all. Let me know your favourite Celestial down in the comments below, and I'll see you all in the next one.